इस त्योहार हो आपके परिवार में सबका शुभ लाभ।
इसीलिए यूनियन बैंक ऑफ इंडिया लाया है परिवार के हर सदस्य के लिए एक अनोखा उपहार।
निवेश कीजिए यूनियन समृद्धि में, जो सिर्फ 333 दिन में इन्वेस्टमेंट पर दे 8.15% तक का रिटर्न सुपर सीनियर सिटीजन्स को, 7.90% सीनियर सिटीजन्स को और 7.40% अदर कस्टमर्स को।
यानी समृद्धि समय से पहले। ये है यूनियन समृद्धि।
और जानकारी के लिए लॉग ऑन टू unionbankofindia.co.in और डाउनलोड द व्योम ऐप।
You're listening to Sosbans and Sidesteps.
Hello and welcome to the Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Joining me, as always, Big M, is the wonderful Carwyn and the nicknameless Mr. Hugh Griffin. Good evening. How are we, gentlemen?
Good evening.
Good evening. Joining off my phone tonight. Technical difficulties. I hope they're fixed.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah. It's a throwback to last season. It reminds me of the video of oh, Martin's Gone. Still one of my favorite things on the rap YouTube channel, which is the rap YouTube channel is going quite well at the moment, boys. We're actually getting quite famous. But delighted. Yeah. Full house for this podcast. I was about to say, looking forward to getting stuck into it. Getting stuck into it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm thinking that was a Christmas video, wasn't it? Martin's Gone. I think I appreciated
it was a New Year's special.
New Year, same thing. So we had some entertainment on Saturday night. So who wants to talk about Strictly first?
Oh, it's your favourite show, isn't it, Cameron?
It is. I am a massive fan. I like to believe that I could be a professional judge up to Anton's standard, despite not having any dance training whatsoever. But no, I think it's such a good, feel-good show, and what Chris and Diana are doing is just unbelievable, as in changing the world as we know it in front of our eyes on a dance floor.
What's your compromise in your house? Because if there's a rugby match and Strictly on at the same time, Strictly wins every time in my house.
Same. It's either watching the rugby on a mobile device or catching up after Strictly. That's what usually happens. Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's because I'm normally watching like rugby all day. Like at the moment, it's just crazy. There's so much rugby, like rugby championship and stuff on WXV and that. So by the time it comes down to the evening, the missus is like, "Can I just like watch my one thing in the day that I want to watch?" And I'm like, I can't really say no, can I? So that's it. But yeah, I tell you what I'm not a fan of on Strictly at the moment. It's come in the last few seasons. Getting professionally trained dancers on as celebrities. Like, it's just not in the spirit of the game for me.
No, it's a bit one-sided, isn't it? It's sort of it's to put in a rugby analogy, it's like having a capped budget and an open budget, and we've seen the damage that does in the rugby field. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan myself.
This is good stuff, but this is hard hitting. I'm really enjoying the dance talk. I'm assuming Strictly is the one on the solid floor, not a skating one.
Correct. Yeah.
That would be dancing on ice.
Same thing. It's all dancing. I don't watch that. I'm really sorry, guys. My compromise is I can watch the Scarlets, but if anything else is on, I got to deal with the kids first. Kind of take it.
It's life, isn't it? Compromising.
To be fair, if you gave me a choice between like doing a household chore and watching the Welsh national team at the moment, I'd probably do the household chore.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. I suppose that's enough, fun stuff for this evening.
The banter's out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Got a bit of an issue with a game to talk through. I mean, dominated 99.9% of the facets of play, if you look at the stats. And that 0.1, it was the scoreboard. So I don't know, boys. I'm still mulling it over, to be honest. How are you both feeling? Hugh, give me a little rundown, but
I was very sore after the game. I was wounded. I was gutted. I was apprehensive all week building up to it because it was a big game on the podcast. Let's be honest, but I think looking back on it and when I went over the stats as you just said there, the next day, the it's like we threw that game away. Like we beat ourselves in that game. That's what makes it so frustrating. I went to both Cardiff games in person, one with you, Mark, and I went with Harley the other time. And both times when we left the game and Scarlets had won, I'd been like, yeah, we won, but we've got some issues as a team. And this time it was like, how do we lose that? Like it just a completely opposite reversal. I mean, Cardiff entered R22 four times and scored four tries. Like that never happens. And like you said, Mark, we dominated every statistic apart from the scoreboard. And, I'm not one for XG in football chat often pisses me off and things and like taking one game stats, but it was like a proper self-implode type thing. So that's kind of why I'm not like raging, but why I'm gutted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I mean, just going through that game, looking at the turning points where the momentum swung. I mean, Costello missing that penalty, which would have put us back in the lead, and that try that their fourth try where Lloyd just I don't know what happened in his mind. They're just little moments which they go the other way, and that game is ours. It's really simple to look at it that way, but this is how close this game actually was. I mean, the 9 point margin, it is rather large considering everything that we actually saw on the day. So, Carwin, how were you left feeling? But
yeah, it was a strange one, really. It was a sort of at the end thinking back as to trying to work out what I just witnessed, because as you've both alluded to, all the stats apart from the most important one were in our favour. As in last season, I banged on a lot about we were out of games by half time, and sort of this season we haven't been out of games at half time. Yet in the second half, we just disappeared, and I think it's frustrating because I know us doing the double over Cardiff last season was probably unexpected, but it happened. And when you've done the double over a rival, you sort of expect that to become the norm. And even though all the predictions pre-season by people across the board suggested that the Scarlets could be the bottom Welsh region. Not that I believe that for a second, and I still don't believe that. As in, I still had great confidence that we'd win on Saturday, and it just now ramps the pressure up because I said first 6 games of the season it's make or break. We need to win 4. Well, we've played 2, drawn 1, lost 1, which now means we've got to win the next 4. And the 2 I'd planned to lose in the first 6 haven't been yet. So it's going to be tough. But I think we're seeing enough promise, especially from Max Page, who, again, as in, I thought this season he'd be one of those in and out of the team, building him up maybe for next year, has shown that give me a chance and I'll show you what I can do. But we just need to, I don't know what we need to do to turn that result on Saturday, because we did too much wrong. Maybe we just need to say that Cardiff were clinical, and that we just need to sort of, instead of beating ourselves up, just congratulating them on being clinical when it got to the red zone.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I thought Ben Thomas was good. I thought and Ray Lilo. Ray Lilo is literally, not like figuratively, literally twice Max Page's age, and he kind of showed that experience over him. I did think Ben Thomas was good as well. You know, I'm not going to linger too much on the stats like I did last week, but like look at the like points flow graph. It's like we're in the lead and then we're still winning, and then it wasn't really until 60 minutes where, like you said, Mark, that kind of frustrating one with the bounce off like Johan Lloyd is kind of that was the kind of like a that was a kick in the stomach, wasn't it? That try. Like so just like I said, 22 entries for Cardiff, 4 tries. And if you look at their, you know, talk about it being on us, like we messed it up. If you look at their 4 tries, one's off a driving maul from close range, which we've given away a penalty that allowed them to get that field position.
Yeah.
There
If
was
you, if you
go
look at
on.
our defence last week as well against Benton, it's exactly the Mole defence and our own try line defence. That try would never have happened if if we were playing Cardiff last week, that try wouldn't have happened. Our defence would have stood up to it.
Yeah. Then you got Mason Grady's try, which is a well taken try, but our defense, I thought let us down a bit there because we were shooting up as individuals. So all Cardiff had to do was hold their depth, and we had our hips like turned in. So we were shooting up with our hips in. So all Cardiff had to do was hold their depth. And they get the ball and step round a man and then pass and then step round a man, step round a man. And then Grady's got the pace to finish. So that's probably like the one where they've broken down our defence. And then, you know, the third try is when we went down to 13 and they still put it down in the corners. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then the fourth try, like you said, is a balls up and a balls up at the back, shall we say? So, but like you know, for YouTube watchers, like we had more 22 entries, we had more line breaks, more carries, more post contact meters by a lot. Our rucks were faster. You know, just generally across the board. You know, we're repeating ourselves here, but the only stat that matters is the scoreboard, and it's the only one that we're not ahead of. Like, just frustrating, just very frustrating. Look, Cardiff had the majority of their possession in their own half, and they've won the game. Like, so it's disappointing, and that's why it's on us, really, isn't it? You know, it's we. I feel like we lost it more than Cardiff won it. And this Emir Phillips on the touchline said during the game, he said, sometimes you can have too good of a start and you rattle yourself. Well, what do you make of that as a comment? Do you think there's any of that?
I mean, I believe it can happen, but I don't believe it should happen in a professional capacity. You are pros. Like if this was, Welsh Premiership, Division 1, wherever, then yeah, if you fire out to the blocks. I mean, we've actually seen it in the SRC where Bridgend have come out flying out of the box in their opening 2 games and gone on to lose. You can kind of understand it in those scenarios where they're not full-time professionals, but yeah, I think the mental toughness it's got to be there when you're at this level, and it's disappointing. That's the only word I can really
But
describe
what
it.
what was your stat about the age of the back line though in this game?
Oh, I'll have to pull that up for you now because it was fairly young. I mean, we are generally putting out younger squads, which is the way Welsh rugby is going, the salary cap, etc., etc. Having the younger squad, the smaller squads, I should say. So the back line had an average age of 24.57. So and that's including Cowdor, who's 34 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
So you take him
Sorry, if
out.
I
Go on,
just
Gav.
jump in with Emir Phillips' comment. As in, I don't agree with it. I think from a young age, coaches will tell you get out the blocks hard, score early, put them under pressure. As in, we've done that in abundance on Saturday and just imploded. As in, the concerning thing is that we went 70 minutes without scoring a point. I don't think the fact that we started well is the issue. The fact then that after such a strong start, we didn't score a point for 7/8 of the match, which is 58 no, not 58, 87% of the game. That is the stat that I'd be more worried about than the fact that we fired out the blocks. I think we started amazingly. I think we should have really, after the first 10 minutes, we should have been looking at 30, 40 points and pumping Cardiff. But yeah,
I do
didn't
think we
happen.
got a bit giddy I think I agree with you. It's right that it shouldn't happen, but I think it did happen because I think we got like a two-score lead, and then we were in their half loads, and I think the boys were just like, "Oh, well, weren't expecting it to be this easy. We better score," and then just forcing it. I think that's what we said in the group chat as well, wasn't it? Just like trying too hard, just lacking composure. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like. It's like I said, it's not like, oh my God, we're terrible type thing. It's kind of a we've just missed an opportunity.
Massive opportunity. This.
And
I think this game could have been a marker for us. We, like Karen said, we could have easily turned 30, 40, possibly even more points if we know that we kept our foot on the gas and we just didn't, take a step back for all intents and purposes. I mean, there were still some good individual performances. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd still like to look at Blair Murray, even though he is tied with Max Cage on our try counter. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of positive we can take of the game. It's just, composure and execution.
Still haven't lost a line out this season.
No, still haven't lost a line with us. Brilliant. Max Douglas is doing an awesome job there.
And we did, ironically, manage losing 13 men quite well. That was arguably our best period of the game when we went down to 13 in terms of showing street smarts. I thought Sam Costello did an amazing job forcing Cardiff to score in the corner when he was defending half the pitch on his own.
No, absolutely. That sequence leading up to that, it boiled me a little bit. But Sam Costello, I think he tried to do a little bit too much in terms of those two penalty kicks. He tried to waste the clock.
Did you see on
first one.
on the last one? Did you see his eyes? He was looking from the ball to the post, ball to the post, and then something catches his eyes, and his eyes dart the other way, and he's just lost concentration in that moment. And so I wouldn't be, I'm sure Sammy wouldn't like to hear me say this, but I wouldn't be against it if Yohan Lloyd is in the starting team, yet letting Yohan Lloyd do the kicking, because I just think Yohan's a better goal kicker than Sammy.
Really?
And then that kind of, yeah.
Did the stats back that up though?
Sam's percentages last season were very good. And, I'm not like losing my mind about it because he lost two kicks. It's a narrative with Sam. Like he misses one kick, then gets 12 in a row and misses another one. And people go, oh, I got to lose his kicks. Like Callum Sheedy this season is 3 from 8 from the tee. And no one's talking about that. It's just a narrative with Sammy. So even from that point of view, the thing is, it becomes a narrative. And so it's just worth taking it off the player's shoulders. Look at Manny Lebok for the Springboks this weekend. Sensational with the kicking duties taken off him. I just think it's an option. If Sammy comes out and kicks 5 from 5 next week, shut up. I'd completely retract everything. Fine. It's just I feel like it's becoming a narrative now, and I don't want it to play down the rest of his game because he didn't have his best game, but there's still a lot good about it. Like his defense, he was our top tackler. Like I said, the covering half the pitch. The difference, people need to realize the difference between an international 10 and a club 10 is defense. And Sammy's defense is international standard every day of the week.
And on the subject of defense, I'm going to come to Sammy's defense by you because he didn't play a lot of rugby for us last season. The most amount of rugby he managed was 3 consecutive starts, and they were over 4 weeks. And yeah, he played against Saracens in a preseason, and then he had an illness last week. We all know how long an illness can stick around. Or was he really at 100% for this game, or was he just a day or two really away from it? So I love Sammy. He is a brilliant player. He can become a world-class player. He's 23 years old. He's 23. I mean, you look at the other 10s that have been involved in the Wales shirt over the last, decade and a half. I mean, Big Al weren't even close to first choice at 23. And look at the career he had. But I forgot what I was going to say now. That's it. Another kicking option, which I don't think anyone's really looked at, is Eddie James. Because he played a lot of his age grade rugby at 10. So that could be another option there.
I'd like to see it. but I don't know when. I don't know when. I'd like to see it in like the
Training.
warm up or something. Yeah, in training.
Open training session.
I don't
Yeah.
know why, but I look at Eddie James and I think he could slot a 55, 60 meter kick for fun. Just the size and the
God,
shape.
if you
on
think
the
I'm
run.
on the hype train for Eddie James already, if he starts kicking 60-meter kicks, you've got another thing coming.
Oh, that's going to be awesome now when we see that. I want to turn us on. There were 3 yellows in this game. I want to get your guys' opinions on all 3. We'll go in chronological order. Now, a lot of people have been calling, Elias and Belcher's both red. I mean, I think I'm happy with the result that actually came from it. I do think Belcher was probably the luckier of the two.
Do you?
Yes, because I'm looking at Elias and I'm thinking his height is really low. It's not a full wrap, but one arm is wrapping. And obviously the opponent is extremely low as well. Whereas I'm comparing Belcher's and they said there was an extreme change of direction. Now, if that was the first tackler, then yes, but he's the second man, he's a fair distance away. And the height is I think the height is what saved Elias. And I think the second man is what saved Belcher. But both of them could have been red. I'm not saying they both couldn't have been red, but I'd probably say Belcher was probably 51 and Elias was 49. They're very close to each other. I think Belcher's was slightly worse. I don't know how you boys felt.
You go first, Karen.
It's a funny one, isn't it? As in, I'm happy with how they played out, just because, yeah, I think you don't want to see red cards, and I think sometimes, and I know player welfare is obviously the most important thing, but I think sometimes a bit of common sense is needed as well, and just take the emotion out of the occasion and just look at it as an isolated incident. And based on that, it was one of those where you'd either have to send both off or yellow card both. And I'm glad they sort of went yellow card with both Elias and Belcher.
Yeah, both hookers, wasn't it? I think Elias was lucky, is my opinion, because I agree that he's low, and I think that was more of a mitigation. The TMO was like there's a late change of direction, and I didn't agree that there was. But I think him being low is more mitigation. But at the same time, I wouldn't have much to argue about if it was red, because he does kind of lead with the shoulder, and he doesn't need to, because again, I think it's an assist tackle. He doesn't need to do it. So I think that was probably the more fortunate one for me. I think obviously with Belcher, he's more upright, but I do think it's a much more dynamic situation in terms of where the ball carrier is moving. I agree with you, Mark, that I think both could have been red. Of the two, I do think Elias was a bit luckier. But with the other one, with Hepburn, I thought he looked a bit shaky most of the game. I do think that Kieran Azarati is underrated, but in Wales. But I do think even on our own put in, Hepburn was looking a bit shaky. Of course, Matthias was supposed to start. This is Hepburn's first minutes of any kind in months, and yeah, he didn't blow me away. I'll be honest, and obviously I'm not a scrum technician, but I don't think he painted great pictures to the referee. And I think the way that the referee was saying, like, you need to stop doing this, you need to stop doing this, I think that just gave a free pass for Azarati to just go for him, and that the ref kind of not saw what he wanted to see, because that's not what I mean, but it's kind of like Azarati was able to create a narrative around how the scrums were going, and Hepburn didn't really cope with it very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, made the decision easy for the referee, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Hepburn, he's won caps for 2 tier 1 teams. You don't do that by being bang average. There seems to be a theme growing now between Cardiff and Scarlets down the park, where a tight head who is let's just say in the wrong is getting away with it. We saw it with Litterick against Matthias last year. Like, me and you were both in the ground and we could physically see it there. And I could see it again in this. There's a big difference between a tight head overextending and a loose head hinging, and Hepburn weren't hinging. Now, obviously, that call came and, Hepburn's off. Now, the following scrum when Sam O'Connor came on. Now, I don't like bigging up other teams, but Domachowski really, really impressed me with this. Sam O'Connor came on. So now Azarati has got to stay up. If he goes down again, then things are going to be a bit awry. Like, you don't know where the referee's going to point. So you can see it. You can see Domachowski angling with Belcher and literally put all the pressure through Elias. It wasn't Elias at that point. It was through Marnas and onto Sam O'Connor and just boost him back. Oh, it was a thing of beauty to watch. Like, honest to God, I'm so gutted it was Cardiff doing it. And it created a little bit of extra space for them to go wide. Even though we were 13 men, they had extra space again because of what Domachowski did in that scrum. And, I'm not a massive fan of either Domachowski or Azarati scrummaging. They have improved massively from where I actually thought they were, a year and a half ago. But, that was an old head move, and we really got done for it. New loose head comes on, ref's going to be looking at them, and then you go and target the hooker to get away from the... just magic when you're looking at scrummaging in this game of rugby. And the scrum on its own is a spectacle. I hate people that say speed it up, get rid of it. It is an amazing contest, and once you pay a bit of attention to it and you see the things that go on in there, it makes it all the better. I absolutely love a scrum. I love a front row. And, I was really impressed with, Domachowski's nous then in that scenario. But, fair dues, like we've already said, San Costello was defending, 3-4 men on his own, and he still pushed him into the corner.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about the selection for the game now. And a few of the things that we wanted to see happen did happen. Like, we saw Sammy come in, we saw Yohan Lloyd go back to fullback. Ellis Mee was on the bench. Obviously, with Matthias pulling out injured in the warm up, it's turning into a bit of a trend for us players pulling out just before the game. To be honest, it's a bit worrying. But generally, I thought, well, if I start with the positive first, this is kind of like when we talk about why Plumtree and Fafita shouldn't play together because they take away from each other. We saw it in this game that again, repeating myself from last week, it's not because Fafita is a problem. He is the opposite to a problem. He's amazing. But you saw how Plumtree blossomed playing at number 8 with the license to go and express himself because he's not competing for the same space with Fafita. So what did you guys make of Plumtree's performance in this game?
Outstanding, as in, he almost, as you say, had the freedom, and he felt, I don't know if safe is the right word, because that sounds harsh on Fafita, but having a more traditionally balanced back row, I think certainly made him feel like he could go and do what he does best. And I think we saw very different performance from him on Saturday to what we saw against Benetton, just because of who was around him in the back row. It's a tough one because Fafita is such an athletic, dynamic player around the field, but I just don't know how we fit him and Plumtree, who's arguably one of, if not our best player, on the field together. And I think the answer is that you can't. If you really want to compete at the breakdown, but also have a very balanced back row, I think it's either or at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit like the All Blacks at the moment with Surveyor and Satiti.
Yeah.
Such similar players, like those two. Like, if you look at their stats after the game, it's like they had the same game. It's like great, two amazing players, but just there's the balance. So, Mark, you and I had a bit of a debate about the back row because I felt that the back row went quite well and ball in hand on attack was really good. And I've been really impressed by Jared Taylor's physicality. But you kind of felt that the balance still wasn't perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I agree the balance was a lot better. I think there is only room for one proper athletic back row in there. I just and every back row is a workhorse. This is not me trying to say that people aren't haven't got a higher work rate, but if you swap either Taylor or McLeod for Carwin to a Piloto, someone who he grafts and he doesn't punch holes in the way that Callum Mahoney did. He's not the same player. We've gone over this many times, but he gets over that gain line and defensively he's a bigger animal than Taylor and McLeod for me. He puts in more work. He's always there, especially in and around the ruck. I mean, we see him constantly when he's playing, hitting 15, 20, 25 tackles, and he's only on the pitch for 30, 40 minutes half the time. So I would be a lot happier if, Carwin was in the back row with Plumtree and either McLeod or Taylor. I think it would obviously be McLeod because he's our captain. But I think, again, those two are incredibly similar in what they do. And
I was impressed with McLeod coming back. Obviously, we've barely seen him for the last couple of seasons. You have to say he looks right. Like, with his big shoulders and big arms and things, he does look like a top level athlete, doesn't he? He does look like an international athlete, just eye test.
Well, he is. There's no doubt about that. He's just never, had, the run. I mean, what was it? Getting injured, the kick, this literally 30 seconds or whatever after being named in the team, then getting injured in the bloody captain's run. No, there's no luck for this guy. I mean, when the squad was named, I was quite apprehensive because I'm thinking, it's his first game back. And it's not just his first game back, it's Dan Davis' first game back. So, bringing two players straight back from injury, I can deal with one coming onto the bench, but I was really apprehensive when I saw both of them named. And I thought it was everyone knows how much of a fan we are of Carwin. I thought it was a bit of a disservice to him. I didn't think he did anything wrong, when he was on the pitch against Benetton. I mean, I was a bit surprised with the lineup, though. I mean, I probably would have thought that Plumtree would have stayed at 6, Taylor 7, and McLeod would have been the number 8. Obviously, I mean, they're all interchangeable, really. I mean, we've seen Taylor play 7 now. He came up here from South Africa playing a lot of 6 and 8. So we really did have a full back row of 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
So it could have gone anywhere. I know I touched on this last week, and I'm not going to take away from his attacking abilities because attacking wise, Max Page, he could be a superstar, no doubt about that. But defensively in this game, he give us a lot of issues. Cardiff took a lot of ground on him, but like you said already, his opposite number was literally twice his age. I don't think anyone expected coming into this season Max Page playing a lot of 13. I think everyone was resigned to him playing on the wing, and someone actually playing him at fullback, but I don't think we're going to quite see that. I would have been more comfortable having Eddie and Johnny in the centres, and I would like to see that going into Connacht on Friday night. I don't know how you guys feel his defensive side went.
I think, like I said, the shooting up with your hips turned in, I think, that's a bit of a no-no. But like you said, pace, power. He had some really good touches in the second half. Like there were times in the second half where we did go straight through him, but then there'd be a mistake, and then that would be the end of it. Also, I do feel like their back three. Cardiff their kicking strategy is very good, and I felt like they kind of they've sussed our kicking game, which with our kicks were just a bit too long. They were able to call the mark when we were chasing the game. We'd kick long, they'd call the mark, completely take the sting out of the game. So kind of fair play to Cam Winnett, who had a lot better game than I've seen him had towards the end of last season. He was a lot better in this game, but it kind of brings me on to the things in this game. We talk about how it's an opportunity missed and players on the pitch made mistakes. which is true. But I think there's two things in this game that you can critique the coaches for. One is still giving away too many penalties, and that starts at home. They need to cut that out. They need to change their approach to training somehow for that. And I don't necessarily have a problem with the selection of 15, but we need to change how we're selecting the bench. This is the thing, I'm not even talking about the 6-2 this time. It's where's your impact coming from? If you talk Eddie James, brilliant player. Is he an impact player? That's probably not, you're probably talking Johnny or Max is more of an impact player than Eddie. You saw Carwin, I think you made this point of who we've got to bring off the bench to change it. If Sam Costello and Johan Lloyd are both starting, who's coming off the bench to change it? That kind of thing. Cowdor obviously got his 250th appearance, legend of the club, etc., etc. Didn't have a brilliant game. Probably Evan Jones should have come on sooner. This is my thing, and like we talked about. Okay, Carwin wasn't on the bench this game, but if we'd said started Carwin Tuipulotu and had Jared Taylor to come off the bench, that's more of an impactful substitution. So that's for me that, like, come on, Dwayne, let's pick a bench that we intend to use. Because at the moment, I just feel like for the last year, we've been picking a bench just because you have to pick a bench. It's the rules. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah,
well, I think a lot of that is injuries that have forced his hand to pick a bench like that. As in, I think with no disrespect to Evan Jones, had Archie not got injured, he'd have been our second choice 9. I would have probably come on after 50 minutes because he's a different style of 9. And I do feel like we were talking about Fifita and Plumtree not being able to, maybe not being the best balance in starting together. I'd argue the same with Costello and Johan Lloyd. I do feel like if you want to change a game, presumably you start Sam because he's our first choice 10, and you bring Johan off the bench, and you almost slot him in where he'd be the most effective, because effectively he could be 10, 12, wing or 15. And having that versatility almost lets you automatically pick a 6-2, because he could play anywhere in the back line apart from 9. I'm sure he'd do a job at 9 as well, but that's the only place we wouldn't need him to cover. And I do feel like, when you do go with someone like an Eddie James on the bench, by the time you want him to come on, his style of play isn't what you need. You need somebody, and well, obviously, unless you're 30 points up and you want somebody just to be a brick wall. But let's be honest, as in, they weren't going to bring Eddie James on after 10 minutes on Saturday, were they, to solidify things up? So, I feel like, the way you pick your bench should impact where you envisage you'll be when it's time for them to come on. And at the moment, I just feel like we're picking a bench, as you said, because we have to, and not to influence or change a game.
Yeah. I know I said it repeatedly through last season. I don't care if we have to make a sub 20 or 30 minutes into the first half. We had this argument with Craig and Lousy. They're definitely our best, but then we're bringing on Morgan Jones or Jack Price, who, let's face it, they are a drop in the standard. I would rather one of them, Morgan Jones or Jack Price, start. And if they're struggling after 20, 30 minutes, we can have Lousy or Craig come on. I'm of the belief that if the 15 that finishes the game is either just as strong as the one that starts it or stronger.
Yeah.
It's like coming in for this week, some people would probably not agree with what I would like to see, but I would start with Evan Jones, and I'd have Gareth Davis, Johan Lloyd, and Max Page all on the bench, just because they are those impact players like we have discussed. And even if it is a case of even 10 minutes, 15 minutes, at least we're trying something, so that we're not having the drop off in the second half. It's much easier to recover a drop off, when you've got fresher legs in the last 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, Ellis Me is a good example of a player who surprised us all with his quality, not an impact substitution. But that brings like on to last bit of chat about the selections and things. We all kind of we didn't know this wasn't the back three that we all necessarily voted for, but we kind of said we
It
were
happened.
pretty much happy with it. We predicted it. Do we? Johan Lloyd at fullback looked less solid than Tom Rogers looked last week. Now it's one game, and we've all said that Johan Lloyd's best position is fullback, so we're not backtracking on that. But is it a case of he wasn't absent because he was on the wing, but do, did this game make you think that Tom Rogers' game last week was even better?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of moments for Tom Rogers. Obviously, that very first, kickoff take, and obviously, saving the touch finder. There's moments like that Tom has got in his game, and we said this when McNichol left halfway through last season or whatever time it was. Now is for Rogers to really have that 15 shirt and solidify it. He didn't do it last season. He didn't, have a great many opportunities consecutively. Obviously, he did, play there a fair bit. But Lloyd is our 10. We're obviously not comfortable with Titcombe on the bench. I would be very comfortable with Titcombe on the bench. I've seen his game plenty of times I know it's for the Quins, but he dominates. And I mean,
He looked
absolutely,
amazing at that level.
he absolutely dominates everything at that level. So I'd be very comfortable with him on the bench. But Peel isn't for whatever reason. So Lloyd has got to be on the bench without 10 cover. When you start in the game where you're both your 10 options, they can't have an impact when even if Costello went off and Lloyd moved up to 10, he's already playing the same game he's been playing. He's not going to do anything different. So, I would like Rogers to go back to 15.
Makes you remember how good Johan Nicholas was last season as well at fullback. Carwin's player of the season, obviously.
Yeah. Like, I mean, everyone, I think everyone is constantly surprised with how young Johan Nicholas is, considering how long he's been around.
Because he looks about 42.
Obviously, he suffers the same versatility issues that, Johan Lloyd does. It must be the Johan issue down west. But
Yeah.
I want, I want someone to grab that 15 shirt and say it's mine. I'd like us to revert back to the Benetton game, Rogers, me, and Murray for Connacht. And, like I've said to this in the group, if Tom Rogers can't get this shirt really solidified, saying, this is mine, no one else is having it by Christmas, then, I'm still happy to keep Johan Lloyd on the bench interchange with Sammy, and I'd bring Jack Davis in, give that boy a shot, because he's a talent that he probably could have had an opportunity at 15 last season if he didn't get injured. He was. It was a toss up between him and Max, who was getting those final substitution appearances, and his injury obviously forced him out of that equation.
Yeah, I think just to wrap it up then on this game, two more players who played very well is the two second rows,
As
Alex
always.
Craig and Max Douglas, both fantastic. Marnus van der Merwe, also shout out to him. He looks very solid so far, very solid indeed. Just a missed opportunity. We could have won this game. We were good enough to win this game.
Should have.
Balls it up.
Yeah, I'm happy with that assessment. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the end of the Scarlets game. I'm not going to mention who we played because we already know it. I believe we have another letter. Is that right, Hugh?
Do we? Have you got it?
Why would I have it? They don't seem to come to me.
It's all right. I've got it here. Sorry.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got his nice folded piece of paper. He's opened the envelope with his letter cutter.
I'm afraid Jack from Luck has been in touch again.
Oh,
he says this.
You deal with him this week, but.
Well. Another loss for Peel's line-breaking offloading boys in red. So much for your title charge that lasted all of a week. I'm off to watch that full 80 again and to spend the whole night tweeting about the Scarlets. Enjoy, yours, Jack from Lucker. What are you going to say, guys? Did we get giddy last week? Are we silly? Are we sorry?
never sorry, because I think compared to last season, what we saw last week was a vast improvement, and that's what you want at the end of the day, isn't it? Is to see your team bettering themselves from the previous season. Obviously, they didn't. Well, hard to say if they played worse this week or not. They just didn't do enough damage when they had opportunities, and Cardiff were clinical. But if Jack wants to tweet about it, then it means that somebody's talking about the Scarlets. So I'm not going to begrudge him tweeting about the mighty men in red all he wants.
What about you? What about you, Martin? When are you gonna stop being such a one-eyed tick?
I'm never one-eyed. No, you believe in your team, whether you're a Dragons fan and you're constantly losing. Obviously not last week. You still believe your team can do it. I will always believe that the Scarlets can come out and win every single game they go to play, even if everything says no, it's not going to happen. I will still believe we can do it. So yeah, sorry, Jack. You can join every single other Welsh rugby fan in tweeting about the Scarlets, because that's all anyone ever tweets about is the Scarlets. Like, it doesn't matter what region you support, you tweet about the Scarlets. That's literally how it goes. Okay, so I think that brings us at a nice little point to talk about the community. Are you boys ready for this?
Just before we do, remember, everybody, if you've gotten this far into the podcast, like and subscribe, or leave a 5-star review and leave a comment. It's going really well on YouTube at the moment, so definitely check it out over there. But yes, I am looking forward to the community bit, because I don't actually know what happened in Super Rugby Cymru this weekend, so I'm looking forward to you telling me about it.
Okay, so first things first, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I've set it up slightly differently this time, so all of them are on the one screen, and you can all see it. So we'll start off in the Super Rugby Cymru, and Carmarthen Quins absolutely destroyed the undefeated Cardiff.
Get in.
31-19, Cardiff with a few late scores there to deny the Quins a 6-pointer. Yes, that is a 6-point game in the SRC. Quite a few players involved in this game from the Scarlets. We had Ben Williams dropping down in the 15. Yori Badam scored a try, and Gabriel McDonald. We also had an SRC debut for Keanu Evans, who came off the bench.
Gabe McDonald's getting a lot of game time these days.
Yes, and I'll probably try and talk up a bit more of him on the SRC podcast. If you guys want to know more about these games, that's where you'll find us. Normally on a Thursday at 3:00, you can click on, you see our lovely faces, listen to our lovely voices. But yeah, I think he must have been struggling with injury last season, because he was in and out of teams. I think he played for 2 or 3 teams throughout the whole season, if I'm honest. But from the boys that I spoke to, who were at the Saracens game, they were very impressed with, his defensive capabilities. He stood up to them for, the whole 70 minutes he was on that pitch. So, they're very impressed with this boy so far. And this Carmarthen side is winning, and it's doing things that...
How many wins are they on so far?
Well, I believe they are currently second in the table. Either second or third. I will actually...
They only won about 4 games last season.
I'm on the wrong spreadsheet, boys. I haven't updated this one. I need to switch over to my SRC one. I'm really sorry.
The second.
The second. Okay.
They are second. There we go. But yeah,
well, there's 4 teams on 11 points.
Okay, so they tied second, but no, they tied first. I'm going with tied first. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way the SRC is working this year is, so match points is the first tiebreaker. Then you go for wins. Then you go for least amount of losses. Then it's tries scored. Then it's points difference. So it's a long-winded process when it's 4 teams on the same. But they are up there. They're tied for top, and I think there is literally only one undefeated team left, and that is Newport. And they didn't look wholly assured on Thursday night before that game got abandoned. They were only 3-0 up at halftime.
Yeah, but it was raining a bit.
Just a little bit. There was only one small puddle But okay, I think we need to move on now. I could talk about this forever, and you will probably hear me if you do like the SRC and join us on our podcast. So Llandovery,
What's going on here? answers.
disappointing. I want some answers as well, if I'm honest. Ebbw Vale 38, Llandovery 29.
This is more games than they lost in the whole of the last 10 years, I think.
Well, we lost 2 league games last season, and we're 3 games in, and they've already matched it. What I will say, the 2 games they've lost, RGC and Ebbw Vale, they'd only play in patches, which is really annoying because they're scoring plenty of points. They come into the game to actually win it, and then just not quite getting over the line. It's like, what was the score? 28-23 against RGC last week, and it was a case of they got to that 28-23. They got a line out deep in RGC territory, a few minutes from the end, and they just fluffed it. Same within this game, they got to 35-29. 7-pointer would have done them, and they just fell off. So they haven't played at home yet, so that is something to consider. So boys, we had involved in this one. We had Morgan Jones dropping down into the 15, which that is a surprise. I think most of us would have thought that Morgan Jones was above Jack Price in our second row pecking order, but he could be first game back from injury, and we actually decide to give these boys game times first. So that would be nice if that's true. And in the 20th on the bench, we had Harry Thomas, Will Evans, and Steph Jack Jones. So Llandovery is they are a feeder team to us. They do have our boys. It is worrying, but class is permanent, form is temporary. And we will see Llandovery come back at some stage. So games this week this was a double header, round 3 and 4. So Carmarthen and Quins will now travel to Cardiff, and Llandovery will host Ebbw Vale in what will be the first defence of the SRC Challenger Shield. So a lot more on the line for Llandovery in this game. Okay, so let's drop down into the proper community now, and let's get away from boys being paid. So in the Premiership, Newcastle Emlyn, a bit of a drubbing, 43-17 away to Brecon, but much improved on last week. Exactly. Yeah. Llangennech.
I've decided I'm supporting Newcastle Emlyn.
Good choice.
Good choice. Llangennech came away with a massive scalp, beating Narberth in Narberth 17-8. I wouldn't have predicted that going into this season. This is massive for Llangennech. If they can be the top Scarlets region team below Quins and Llandovery, that would be absolutely amazing for them. We're going into Cup week now. So the Cup fixtures, Llangennech are travelling to Cross Keys, Newcastle Emlyn travelling to Merthyr. Things are not getting much easier for Newcastle Emlyn, and Narberth are hosting Bonamine.
They're away.
Yes, not good. You go to Merthyr, Pontypridd. They are by far the top 2 in this league, and Neath are just third, trailing at the hard minute. Down into Championship West, Ammanford winning 33-20 at home to Crymych. Another result that was, really 50-50. You wouldn't have really guessed which way this was going to go. Crymych probably got the better of them last season. The other result, Llanelli Wanderers go back on their winning ways with a 39-10 victory over Gysainan in Gysainan. Cup week as well for everyone down here now. So Llanelli Wanderers are actually travelling to Ammanford, so not very far. And then Crymych are travelling to Gowerton. So, a very much Championship West theme for our boys. Into 1 West, Aberystwyth, massive job this season so far. 47-7 at home to Buryport. They're going really well. I'm very impressed with them. Vellinville winning 13-9 at home to One Islet. Tenby doing Kidwelly 29-21. There was actually a live stream of this game. I hope that it's still up. It would be great to actually watch this game because it 29-21 looks like a banger, and it's our rugby. It's always going to be a banger. The other games, so St Clair's drawing 17-all with Hendy, and Pontedilais winning 28-19 away to Pencloud. That was the full of 1 West. Cup Rugby, Cup Division 1 Cup, we've got Buryport travelling to Bridgend Athletic, Vellinville hosting Swansea Uplands, Kidwelly hosting Aberafon Green Stars, Hendy travelling to Morriston, and Tenby hosting Pontedilais. Buys for this round go to Aberystwyth and St Clair's, lucky boys. Into 2 West Central now. Bryn Aman drawing 6-all away with Mumbles. Nothing to be, sniffed at. Mumbles did well in 2 West last season, and Bryn Aman dropping down. They want to be near the top. 2 West, Fishguard keeping I believe that's their 100% record alive. 19-7 win over Carmarthen Athletic. Larne winning 48-17 away in Milford. Nancaredig going down 15-32 at home to Lucha. And Whitland again on the winning track with a 31-13 win at home to Betis. Lampeter with the bye.
Alan Drummett scoreline, always good.
Always good. Cup rugby now, Division 2. So we got Aberafon Quins hosting Milford. Fishguard against Carmarthen Athletic, a repeat of this week's game. So that's going to be tasty how they both respond. Larne travelling to Mumbles, Whitland at home to Resolven, and we got Nancaredig, Betos, Lampeter, and Bryn Aman all with byes.
Resolven, I've not heard that one before.
Resolven?
Yeah, that's a new one.
But yeah, they're not in 2 West. They're in 2 West Central, I believe. So you wouldn't have heard them.
Mm.
Oh, have I not? I haven't italicked all of these, so I'm really sorry. I did try and do my best. Actually, no, I didn't. I couldn't be asked. But all honest with you. Okay, 3 West now. Aberaeron against Kev Nathan was postponed. United against Cardigan was postponed.
Raining, was it?
One of them, I think Kev Nathan might have been. Oh, I'm sure one of them was they couldn't raise a side, and I can't remember which one now. It's doing my nut in. Really sorry. Either Kev Nathan or Cardigan couldn't raise a side this week. I'm thinking it might have been Kev Nathan due to the sheer travel. Well, actually, they both had to travel a fair bit. Cardigan cramming down and Kev Nathan going up. Could have been either side. I can't remember. I'm gutted now. Harvard West losing 15-28 at home to the Croix. Llangadog winning 43-29 in Ponteberem. That's a victory and a half for them. Fair play. And Tumble winning 27-25 at home to Llandailo.
What a game!
It is, there's a lot of close games in these leagues. Now, I'm excited for it. I love seeing it. So we get into the Cup now. So Division 3 Cup, we've got Aberaeron at home to Tonna, Amraited at home to Brincoch, Haverford West at home to Nantymoel. That's a trip and a half for Nantymoel. Llangadog at home to Llandailo, and the Gwendryth Derby again. Ponteberem at home to Tumble. Ooh, tasty stuff. A second time this fixture is being played. Byes for this round, we got Cardigan, Kev Nathan, and De Croix. Go over into 4 West A now. Newcastle Lemon-Draghi won 19-18 in Llangam. Sorry, Llangam. Pembroke Dockwins losing 22-40 at home to Neyland. Narberth Athletic winning 40 points to 0 away to St David's. And Crymych Tyro winning 42-21 at home to Llanybydr. Pembroke with the bye in this round. I hate odd number leagues. 4 West B. Pennebank winning 41-16 in Binya. Good show. Pontiacs going down 37-22 away to Fall Bay. New Dock Stars, they won away 27-20 against Llandybie.
Much more like it.
Furness then with a 48-12 win over Pantavannan, and Trimsaran 52-22 at home to Tregaran. That is a nice win. So Division 4 Cup, all these teams. I'm not 100% sure if the seconds teams are involved. None of them are in a fixture, so just bear with me by here. So Llangam are travelling to Britain Ferry, St David's travelling to Crennan, Tregaran travelling to Cumgores, Pembroke travelling to Fall Bay, Llandybie at home to Pembroke Dockwins, Llanybydr at home to Pantavannan, New Dock Stars travelling to Pennebank, Pontiacs hosting Trimsara, and that's a tasty fixture. So definite buys on Neyland, Furness, and Binya. Not 100% if the seconds teams are included in the cup. That's all of our seniors community. Do a shield.
You need a community phone, like a proper, old school phone on a cord.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
like
can
the
ring.
bat phone.
Yeah, you can ring a club chairman and go, "Are you playing this week or what?"
That'd be a good feature. I think we'll have to look into that. So, Do a shield action was back on this past Friday. Mynydd Mawr winning 14-10 away against Carmarthen. Ceredigion winning 44-14 at home to Llanelli, and Pembroke winning 38-7 at home against RGC West. Pembroke and Ceredigion still undefeated, 3 of 5 rounds played. Another round of fixtures this coming Friday. So Llanelli at home to Carmarthen. Mynydd Mawr travelling up to RGC West. And the decider for the Scarlets region Dewar Shield spot is Pembrokeshire at home to Ceredigion. That will be one to watch. And that brings me to the end of all my community, boys. How are we all feeling?
Good. I'm enjoying that bit a lot more these days. Now that I've heard of the teams, etc.
Cup weekends are good, I think, because a lot of clubs make a day of it. I know I saw on their socials Pantoffin on arranging a bus up to Llanfair there, and they're making a day out of it. So it's
Are they really arranging a bus?
yeah,
No.
having like a social post match and stuff. So it's good to see teams getting these trips.
It's not everyone can arrange a bus.
No.
No.
Obviously, I didn't grow up down west, unfortunately, but it was always a case of whenever we played Llandrynod Wells, that there would be a bus, and well, actually, there'd be more than one bus. There'd be a couple buses, and you'd all go up, and it would be a big day of it. And you do that for the cup games, especially once you're at the quarter stages, and you had all the old district competitions, which they do still run, and they're amazing. I mean, it does put it into perspective of how the game, needs to be changed. There's so many people watching rugby on a weekend, but they want to watch their local and going to professional. There's a balance to be had, and it's just not there at the minute. If we
The French
could
have
get
got it nailed. The French play all their stuff on Thursday and Friday nights below the top level, and they play top level on the weekend. And they have Sunday night games, which is the best thing ever. From a TV audience point of view, it's the best thing ever. I can imagine from a attending audience, it's a nightmare. But from a watching on telly thing, Sunday night games is the best.
If we could literally get everyone who watches club rugby in Wales into the foregrounds to the four regions, they would be packed out with people queuing at the door every week.
I wouldn't be against a Monday night game,
Monday night for who now? The pro sides or
the pro sides?
Yeah. I'm up for that. I mean,
well, classic Monday Night Football, though, do. And I think the problem we've got as well is, can you imagine Scarlets versus Bulls on a Monday night? I think.
Okay. This is where I think our scheduling needs to be looked at. These Friday night games, these awkward times on a Sunday. If ever did go into Monday, you need to make sure that those are big games that people actually want to go and attend.
No, that's a good point. Big games.
If it's a case of, obviously we are playing Connacht now Friday night. Connacht are a decent team, but they're not going to draw a lot of fans down on a Friday night. That should be a Saturday 3 or 5 o'clock kickoff. That's when you're going to get the most fans for that game. Now, if it was a derby or if it was Leinster, someone big, then you're going to get a few more people coming down just to watch them. Especially if you're talking, we're playing Leinster I don't think we are. We're playing Leinster with Geordie Barrett on a Friday night. Your only chance to see Geordie Barrett in Park of Scarlets ever. That's going to be a draw.
Yeah. Also, I think, rugby is still goes hand in hand with having a few beers, isn't it? So on a Monday night, people are like, I'm not going to drink on a Monday night, am I?
Yeah.
Depends who you are.
I'm just trying to propose solutions here, people.
Solution.
We talk about Connacht.
Yeah.
Connacht, good team. I thought they were going to struggle because I looked at their stats from last year and they were rubbish. And they had season-long issues that their coaches completely failed to solve. And I was like, well, if they can't solve it in a season, they're going to solve it in another season. And they've solved it. So they scored a lot of tries so far. They were well down against the Sharks at the weekend and came right back into it. And they scored a lot of tries against Munster. Well, it turns out that's not very impressive because Munster got back.
Yeah, Munster lost to Zebra, so sorry. Nobody should lose to Munster.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had very much luck against Irish sides in the last 5 years.
Oh, do you remember last season when we played Connacht away and they didn't tap it on a tap and go and scored? They did it against the Sharks.
Did really?
Yeah, didn't tap it.
That's a new secret skill.
He held it in his hands like this. For audio listeners, I'm going like this. He held it in his hands like this. Didn't tap it.
What was the game where we tapped it and kicked it out, but the ref said we didn't tap it? No, I think that was Charlie
No,
Titcombe. I think
it wasn't us. That was a Llandovery game.
Oh, Llandovery, was it?
Yeah,
It wouldn't have been Titcombe then. My bad.
it might have been
But
Quins actually. It was a Prem game. It wasn't URC. But anyway, so what I'm
anyway,
basically trying to say is we've got beef with Connor.
yeah, we do. I mean, I would like to say there's, I consider when you talk about Welsh rugby and talk about the regions, I would say Scarlets and Cardiff are the top echelons, and Ospreys and Dragons, they're just there. Now, I don't mean this to be disrespectful to them. It's just when I look at
Sounds
them and what I think.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't mean to be it, but I'm thinking Llanelli and I'm thinking Cardiff. That's rugby in Wales to me. Like, I don't see Swansea and Newport. I know it's more than just them, but when you have a view, you look at it, you look at Welsh rugby, you think Scarlets, you think Cardiff. You wouldn't necessarily think of the others if you've been around for a fairly long time. So I know
Tweeting us now.
Yeah. Jack is going to have a field day this week.
So obviously, there's differences in the provinces. So I would like to think that we have a more rivalry with a Leinster, with a Munster.
You are right that the top Welsh regions should be able to comfortably beat the bottom Irish province. On paper.
That's where I'm going with this, and it seems as though we've got a bit of a rivalry with them, as though we're on the same pegging. Which
they won the Pro 12 the year before we did.
Yeah, and what did they do from there? And you can say really the same as us. We had one good season. We had one good season after it.
No, that's true. Actually, we got to back-to-back finals,
and we had the European semis. You can't forget that. But we've had such a hard time against Irish opposition. Like, the last time we beat Connacht was 3 years ago, and the other ones was back in the Pivac era. So I'm going to back us all the way. I'm always going to back us because I do think we've got enough in this squad to beat every team in this league. A 15 over 80, we can do every team. I got no doubt about that. It's just getting the job done. So, yeah. We're going for a win. We're going to get the 5 points. We're going to get it. We're creating enough opportunities. Our composure and our execution is going to come back this week. It was just the fact it was a Welsh derby and we didn't have, too many boys. We had Henry Thomas, we had Alec Hepburn, we had Max Douglas, boys who didn't really know what a Welsh derby actually meant and when to step it up. So we're going to come out on top this Friday night. Where are your boys' heads at?
Connacht are a lot better in the first two games than I was expecting them to be. And they've had a few boys back, like Mac Hansen is back. Cordero, their Argentinian, is back. Carl, I keep wanting to call him Cathal Ford, but you pronounce it Carl. Carl Ford is back. It's difficult to see their weakness, to be honest. So here's hoping they rotate a bit. They played the first two games. They had an Interpro with Munster and they had a home game. So hopefully they just rotate a bit. Send the kids, and then we just pull their pants down. No, that sounds wrong, doesn't it?
That sounds illegal.
As in, we've had a lot of backtracking issues in the last 3 minutes of this pod.
I'll be honest.
Martin basically saying there's no rugby between Llanelli and Cardiff, and Hugh suggesting that we pull pants down. Anyway, I think I'll take a victory in any shape or form. I wouldn't mind sort of a Mumbles Bryn Mawr, but a 6-3 win, not a 6-0 draw. Just was it Bryn Mawr or Bryn Aman? I can't remember what you said. Bryn Aman, sorry, Bryn Aman. Mumbles Bryn Aman, 6-3 win. We just need to get over the line. As in, you could argue in the first two games. I know it was 15-0 after 10 minutes, and you can't suggest that we're defending for 70 minutes, but in both the Benetton and the Cardiff game, we've been in a position where we should be able to control and see it out and haven't been able to. Hopefully, Connacht, who've had a high-scoring start, but have also... So they've scored, 69 points and they've conceded 65. So as good as they've been scoring, they've also been leaking tries in defence. So I just think just keep in the game, get the ball out to this young backline we've got. I'd probably revert maybe more to the team we saw against Benetton as opposed to the team we saw against Cardiff, just because I thought, especially in the backs, I thought the backline there worked better. And by that, I'm probably suggesting maybe that Johan Lloyd starts on the bench, just for his versatility when we need it. But yeah, I think we'll sneak one. It'll be tight, it'll be scrappy, but we'll sneak the W.
I think that wraps it up. Then we're all back in. Are we all back in a Scarlets win? How? I don't think you were fully
Well,
convinced.
I'm back in, if we were playing the Springboks, I'd back a Scarlets win.
Yeah, I'd even back as we weren't playing.
Okay, so we're all going to say Connacht are being put to the sword on Friday night, so you better get out.
And the title charge will be back on.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, 100%. Who has got a new nickname?
We'll be the ones tweeting screenshots of the table.
Okay, I'm going to forget whose new nickname now because I think it's a bit too bad. I was going to be Predator, but I don't think you'd appreciate that. So, oh, I'm laughing too much. Okay, until we come again next week, we'll be celebrating a Scarlets win for the first time this season. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you all next Monday or Tuesday, whenever. We'll get together on Monday, and you guys can listen on Tuesday. Enjoy, and we'll see you all again. Bye, guys.
Ta-da.
That was Sosbans and Sidesteps. Please rate, review and share on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.